But speaking of corporate tomfoolery, there was just something I was thinking about and it hit me like a brick. It got me thinking, do you guys actually remember when gaming manuals were a thing? I mean, like, seriously, like, whatever happened or what became of gaming manuals, guys? Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You're probably thinking, like, bruh, why are you out here talking about gaming manuals, guy? That seems so, I don't know, ridiculous. You know, like, it's not that important. But it is. Think about it. Why did we stop getting gaming manuals? Because gaming manuals were like the underrated gemstone or diamonds of the gaming industry. Because I don't think you guys understand the power of gaming manuals. You see, gaming manuals were basically like your first taste of the game before you even booted it up. You'd read that thing in the car on your way back home from the store. It already set the mood, the lore, the story, like it actually meant something. But nowadays, you just put up the game and you just hope that the first patch doesn't break your console. You see, back in the day, yeah, now I'm starting to sound really old. But anyway, back in the day, gaming manuals were a part of the ritual of gaming. The people that know. Like back in the day, dude, you didn't just play a game. You had to earn your right to play the game. You prepared for it, whether you liked it or not. You would learn the story, the world, the button layout. All of it just made you feel as if you were stepping into something important. I mean, personally for me, back when I was still a kid, I never really understood the idea of gaming manuals, if I'm being honest. Because I was like, you know, guy, why do I need this ridiculous booklet? You know, like, what I'm actually after is the disc and the game, and I'm just booting up the game and enjoying the game. Like, why do I need to read this ridiculous gaming manual? But then, over time, what happened is, I started to understand that the gaming manual plays a very important part in the ritual that comes before playing the game. Like, for example, back in the day, games weren't fast. Games didn't just load fast like they do right now. They were complications that were part of the experience that you had to go through before you actually started playing the game. If it's not you having to blow into a cartridge to get it to work, if it's not you trying to clean the scratches of a disc with your sweat and spit for the 10th time or 20th time in order to get this thing to work or to play on your PS2, if it's not you trying to get it to work on your computer, you do everything you possibly can, but this program just won't launch. Like, it would take you almost, sometimes even a week, trying to get one game to play. And in that week, you have already read everything there is to know about the game. You know, you've read the manual front to back. I remember when we had God of War 2, guy. Not God of War 2, but God of War 1. I remember, guy, we would try everything, guy. We opened the case, took out the CD, put in the PS2, guy. PS2 did not play that thing at all, guy. Like, you would go to school, guy, come back 3 days later, you find your older brother still trying to work on the thing, trying to get it to work, and it's not working. In that time, you have already learned almost everything there is to know about the game, guy. I can still remember to this day the gaming manual for God of War 1. I still remember the moveset that was printed on that ink and paper, guy, and how the manual smelled and how it felt. I still remember seeing Kratos doing that deadly dance of his, and then the moves are written there, square, triangle. And you're like, what is this game, dude? I don't know what this, I haven't played it before, but this thing looks so cool, so interesting, guy. I just pray to God that this game finally works, guy. And bruh, the day that thing worked, bruh. Because what happened was, we eventually gave up, right? Older brother gave up, took out the CD, put it back in its case, and the next morning, the game was gone. Up until maybe, I don't know when, maybe it was a week or 2 weeks later, he came back with the case. Still God of War 1. And I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, dude, this again? We already been through this, man. Why do we have to go through this? But this time, the disc was fairly new. And I kid you not, boy. The first time he loaded in that CD, and that PS2 logo flashed before our eyes. Bruh. And then you see Kratos standing there. Oh, bro, and you're like, what? It worked. Wow, dude. The excitement was simply off the charts, guy. That's why I say gaming manuals were so underrated, dude. When I started playing that game and I see the things that Kratos is doing in the game, bro, it was just fantastic, man. It was, I don't know, but games had that sense of awe and reverence and it's almost as if you were somewhat obsessed. No, not obsessed, but it was easy for them to just pull you into the flow, to just to get you into flow state. Because it was so damn good. Headbutting the minotaurs, and then mashing circle, stabbing it through the throat, and he's like, oh my god, dude. Killing the Hydra. Dude. Nah. That's why games back in the day were just too, I don't know, they were just peak in a way. I don't want to say this as if I am over romanticizing the past, because I'm not trying to say that we need to go back to a time when games were slow and, and they were like buggy. Well, let me not say buggy, but whereby there were simply way too many obstacles before you actually got a chance to play them. I'm not saying we need to go back to that. What I'm trying to say is that with everything that we are reading and studying, especially in regards to Neil Postman and how the medium is the metaphor, it just feels as though that time was probably the last dying embers of the typographic age, if you will. Because in that age, that was the age that taught you to be still, that taught you to slow down, to not be so hyper, Take your time, enjoy the moment. Unlike today, where we're living in a TikTok age, whereby we skip the cutscenes, of course. We also manage to skip the tutorials now because we don't really care about tutorials. We just want to just give me to feel something. I just want to get to the good part. And according to my analysis, the reason as to why we've become like that has to do with the way that information is actually presented to us nowadays. And in today's age, we basically traded the manuals for skippable cutscenes and tutorials. Get me started on the loading screens that be giving you useless tool tips like remember to parry when the enemy is about to attack. It's like, bruh, I've been doing that shit for the past 15 to 25 times and I kept dying. I know how to parry, for God's sake. A really cool feature for the tooltips would be to have the tooltips tell you something that you actually didn't know. But you look at that thing, you're like, wow, that's actually interesting. I never actually thought about that before. Let me try that. It would make the whole loading screen process actually relatable and interesting and stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, back in the day, we used to dive deep into thick manuals and stuff. Like the bigger the manual of the game, the better. But now we just be scrolling past EULAs that we never read. We just agree to the terms of service and we just keep going. Just scroll past. So what changed? I think Neil Postman would probably say that the decline of manuals isn't just about saving paper. He would say it reflects a shift into how we actually consume media or games in general. We're no longer building anticipation with the product or the medium. We're simply feeding urgency. That's why now games, they feel more like a snack rather than like the whole meal. But then the weird paradox is, in a way, I do get it, because if you're born in the 90s, guy, like you don't have that much time to play games anymore like you used to back when you were like, I don't know, 6, 7, whatever. So you don't really have the time to be like, wow, I want to read the manual. I want to do this and that. You're just like, dude, just get me in the game. Let me enjoy while I still have time. You know what I mean? But then the weird paradox is that by removing the barriers of entry that brought about that anticipation that you had when you were still a kid, it's led to a society or to a system whereby the games feel emptier now when you play them. Probably that's why you fall asleep after 15 minutes, or probably why you never play them anyway after you buy them. I mean it sucks, man, because you work a 9 to 5, you can finally afford the games you dreamed of as a kid, and yet they sit in your library untouched, which is kind of a sore spot for me because this is exactly what I'm suffering from right now. But more on that later. Okay, what the hell? I guess I'll talk about it right now. It's a sore spot for me because it's what I've been going through, and I've been going through it for a while now. And it's this brutal question of why do we keep buying games that we don't play? And why does it hurt? But wait, before we get into this, I want to ask you guys, what is the last game manual that you remember reading cover to cover? And do you actually miss it? Was the ritual of reading the manual magical, or do you feel as if it was just pointless and it wasted your time? Feel free to let a brother know. But regarding this question, analysts,